All right, question number 5 of the number and operations test. Which set contains an irrational number? Now here we got to remember, what's the difference between rational and irrational number here? Characteristics of irrational, remember, is either, I'm going to put ir and then rational. As we look at these numbers, irrational, remember it has to be a decimal. It has no pattern, no repeating pattern, or no repeating pattern that does not terminate. In other words, it goes on and on and on. And a lot of times, at the end you'll see dot 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 if they give you any options. And then of course you've got your rational numbers, which include natural whole, integers, and then decimals that either have a repeating pattern that go on and on, or they terminate. So let's look at these real quick. Okay, you got 0. That's rational. That's a whole number. You've got 1. That's rational. 2 is rational. 3 is rational, and -1. They're all rational here. So I know A can't be it. Now remember the question. Pay close attention. It says an irrational number. It doesn't say they all have to be irrational. Just one number in the set will make the whole thing. Of course, what they're looking for. So you've got 0.17. Okay, that's a decimal, but it terminates. It's done. So I know that is going to be rational. The square root of 3. And this is something to keep in mind too, and we've talked about it in class. We're talking about square roots. If it's not a perfect square, which means it doesn't factor down evenly, or it's got, for example, 9. You can just multiply 3 times 3. That's a perfect square. You're not going to come up with a decimal. It's going to go smoothly. But so anytime it's not a perfect square, it's irrational. So if I look at the square root of 3, it's going to be irrational, because I know if it's a square root that is not a perfect square, it's going to be irrational. So I can kind of keep that one. I'm going to put a circle around that. 2.5 repeating, that goes on, but it is also a pattern here, so that's going to be rational. Square root of 4, you get a perfect square there. This is your perfect square. 2 times 2 is 4, so the square root of 4 is 2. And then as you go through these, you can look at the characteristics. Once you turn all these to decimals, they will be rational. Now, something to keep in mind here if you're trying to figure this one out, and I know especially if you're using a calculator to try to figure out what world 1 5/6 is as far as a decimal, you got to say 6 times 1 is 6 plus 5, so you would actually have 11/6 there. But in this case, because the only one that has an irrational number is B, so number 5 is going to be B. And that's number 5 of the number and operations test.